The Magic City lights, the Magic City nights, think it's sweet. Find out what Magic City like. Yo, Georgia Roll Mo, real ones know. OPM, the original Pretty Mo. Welcome back to the show. And while I'm at it, let's hop right into this top 20 hip hop albums of the year. This year in particular, we had a ton of music came out. It was like a tale of 2 years. We had the pre-COVID and the post-COVID. Pre-COVID, a lot of those albums have kind of fallen by the wayside. People kind of forgot them because of everything that took place after COVID came about. And the music started ramping up. A lot more artists got more conscious and had more substance within their albums. It was a hell of a year for music. I did a top 20. I usually don't like to put albums in order because we usually become prisoners of the moment and kind of forget about things that came out early in the year. So it's kind of something that I don't like to do. I usually like to pick what I think was the best album throughout the year and just leave it at that, and kind of note some of my favorites. But I usually don't like to put them in order, but hey, this was a different year for everyone. So I said, let me try something a little bit different and try to put the things in order from 20 all the way up to 1. But first, I'm going to name off a few of my honorable mentions that came out in 2020. And I didn't want to put them in the 25. I didn't want to, give myself that extended task of trying to number those. So I'm just gonna give them a special shout out and to note that they were good projects that they put out in the year. And first off, it's Flo Milli, Ho, Why Is You Here? Flo Milli is a young girl. She's from Mobile, home state of mine, so I gotta make sure I put that on there because it was a good project. She's doing a thing. The music isn't for me in particular. I'm not a part of that demographic, but I could tell this is good music. I could listen to it and say, yo, she got a good flow. She's doing that type of music very well. Ho, Why Is You Here? Flo Milli, check that out. Busta Rhymes, my guy Busta Rhymes, first album in 11 years, Extinction Level Event 2. It was a good album. Had a lot of songs on it, I think about 22 songs. Ton of songs on it, but it was a good album. Good comeback album for a legend. Big Sean, Detroit 2, a good album. He got into a lot of personal things on the album. It was a good album. You could see the growth in Big Sean off this album. My guy Future, High of Life, another good album. The Future was kind of quiet this year, I would say that. He did do another album. He did the album with Lil Uzi Vert. I think it was Baby Pluto. It was a good album. But the honorable mention today is for High Off Life. Elzhi, 7 Times Down, 8 Times Up. Another good album. Elzhi, one of the best lyricists in the game right now. Best rappers in the game. Always giving you that conscious. A lot of substance in his music. A great album. Now for the top 25 list. A tough task. A very tough task for me. But nonetheless, I tackled it, paused, and we got right to it. So at number 25, got my guy Lil Baby, My Turn. This particular album wasn't my favorite Lil Baby album, but I could see the growth in Lil Baby from the album. A lot of things that took place this year he talked about. He had the song that came out that everyone was on after the George Floyd incident. I can't think of the song off the top of my head right now, but It was a good song, and you know, it was a lot of growth from him. He kind of dominated the year. I think he may have been maybe the highest selling artist of the year, either him or DaBaby. So it was a shout out to Lil Baby, man. He keep doing his thing, keep growing, elevating. Number 19, I got D Smoke with Black Habits. D Smoke was the winner of the Netflix show that T.I., Chance the Rapper, and Cardi B hosted. D Smoke, he's reminiscent of a young Kendrick with a lot of his flows, but he's a very conscious brother. You can tell he's been doing it for a while. He's seasoned with the music. He put together a great album. I think he got Grammy nominated for Album of the Year. Hip Hop Album of the Year was a huge accomplishment for his first, I guess, official project that's been released. So big shout out to him. Salute to D Smoke with Black Habits. And number 18, I have Lil Bam, The Last Don. Lil Bam, of course, you know, Birmingham, East Side representative, my side of town, my hometown. So I was definitely feeling this album. He also put out Airport Baby. I was definitely feeling that album. I could relate to what he was talking about. I knew what he was talking about. Great album. Great projects, 2 great projects. Independent, grinding, doing his thing. He ain't asking for no cosigns. He's doing what he has to do and dominating. And shout out to Lil Bam. Keep grinding, man. At number 17, I got Sue Surf. Make Sure You Kill Me. Sue Surf is a famous battle rapper, and he's hands down he makes the best music out of all the battle rappers. It's not even an argument. He's become very popular for his music, doing his thing with the music. All of his projects have gotten better every time. He's very respected in the hip hop world. Also, well, in the hip hop world, because I don't want to separate battle rap from hip hop. But he's respected for his music and for his battle rapping skills and abilities. One of the best battle rappers in the world, and also making some great music. And his album made my number 17 spot. So salute to Sue Surf. 2021, keep grinding. Number 16, we got the guy Stove God Cooks with Reasonable Drought. Reasonable Drought was an excellent project. Stove God, I feel like he has an opportunity to be like this generation's Max B. And when I say that, I mean because of the crooning and the rapping ability, the storytelling ability. Stove God, if he ups the output in 2021, I think he could be this generation's version of Max B. So hopefully, he could find the inspiration to get it popping, and because he's an excellent rapper. Album, great project. He can find that inspiration to put out more music, and we'll see if my prediction could come into reality. Number 15, got my guy 38 Special, Interstate 38. He put this album out a couple of weeks ago, well, maybe a week ago. I think it was on Christmas Day. 38 Special is one of my favorite artists. Upstate New York. Most of my favorite artists are from upstate New York. Got the joint on upstate New York. Most of my favorite artists are from upstate New York right now. 38 had a big year, 2020. I remember 2019. Him saying 2020 was his year, and he put the work in. He had a ton of projects that he produced entirely. He didn't put out a lot of solo projects, but he put out a couple of solo projects produced them all. His artist, Shay, he has, you know, a lot of artists, and he did his thing this year. So, you know, Interstate 38, my number 15 album. Number 14, got my guy Mozzy, Beyond Bulletproof. Mozzy's one of my favorite artists from Sacramento, California. You know, I love that street talk. You know, I love to hear guys, you know, talking in their lingo from where they're from, telling the stories about where they're from. And he does that every project. And Mozzy, he's one of the best young artists out. And he's another one that's, you know, on the grind independently, not looking for cosigns and just doing his thing. So Beyond Bulletproof, number 14 spot by Mozzy. Number 13, we got Boldy James, Price of Tea in China, produced by The Alchemist. Another great project. Boldy from Detroit, he's been grinding for a while. He has a lot of great projects. He's been an independent artist, on the grind, underground artist for a while, doing his thing. I think he signed with Griselda and Westside Gun early in the year, and he's been going at it all year doing his thing. He put out a few projects this year. Hopefully he'll pick it up again in 2021 and keep grinding, keep getting better. Price of Tea in China. Got at number 12, one of my favorite artists, Rock Marcy with Mount Marcy. He put the album out in November. It may have made it high on my list if it had been out longer and I could have sat with it a little bit longer. But all in all, Rock Marcy gives you that feel. Pause. He talks that talk, smooth talk, street talk, hustler talk. He comes with it every project. The production's always A1. So Mount Marcy, number 12, albums of 2020. We got my guy Conway, from King to a God. Conway the Machine. He put about 3 projects out this year. I think he had one called Lulu, produced by The Alchemist in entirety. And I can't think of the other one. He puts out a lot. He usually puts out 3 or 4 projects a year. But from King to a God, it feels like he sat down with this one. And he put a lot into this album. It's a great album. Conway, you know, you're going to keep getting bigger. Pause. Keep doing this thing. Music keeps getting better. So salute to Conway the Machine, from King to a God, number 11. Number 10, we got my guy Royce the 5'9" with Allegory. Another great album. I think it's Grammy nominated also. I think he produced the entire album himself. You know, a lot of the guys who are the rappers are stepping into that production bag and, you know, expanding their artistry, and I think it's excellent. The album was great. He's always retrospective. He's always conscious. Always has substance in his music. And if you're a guy who loves the lyrics, he's a guy who taps into that syllable bag, and, you know, he'll get into it and just go. And Allegory, Grammy nominated, number 10, top 20 albums of the year. Number 9, got my guy, Eastside Representative, Birmingham Eastside Representative, Leon Legend with The Falls. This album, this is another youngin' that I know from the East Side. And when I heard my guy Ron, shout out South Beach Ron, he told me, yo, you gotta listen to it. He knew I don't like a lot of people's albums. I don't care if they're local or what. He sent me the album and he said, yo, you gonna like this. So I said, man, let me listen to it. Cause I'm like, man, for him to tell me that I'm gonna like it, let me see what it's on. So I got to listening to the album. First track out, boy going in spitting. Pause. He's going crazy. I'm like, yo. And then he gets into his R&B bag, and he has love songs that he's singing, and he's telling these stories and being introspective about his life. And I'm like, man, I wanna have a conversation with him to see, like, where did he get that from? You know, the way he crafted this album, independently, underground album, did everything himself. He crafted that album so well, and I had to put it on my list. It was one of my favorite albums of the year. When I heard it, I think I heard it about maybe in April, and I said, man, yo, I told my boy, like, yo, this is a top 10 album, and it remained in the top 10 all year. It held up. Leon Legend, The Falls, please check that out. Eastside Representative. At number 8, we got Che Noir, After 12. It's a 7-track album. We calling those albums now. Since Kanye, he did the 7-track album run. That's an album. Che, one of my favorite new artists, young artist, upstate New York, Buffalo. She put out 3 projects this year: After 12, Juno, and As God Intended with Apollo Brown. But the After 12 album, she produced the entire album herself, and I was impressed with the production. And she had two of my verses of the year on that particular album. 2 of my top 5 are on that particular album. They're not by her. No disrespect to her, because she did her thing. But that's another thing when you have an artist who has people featured on the album, and they allow them to go crazy on their song, but she produced the track. So we still have to give her credit, because that track was that crazy to those particular artists that they went in. Pause. But that After 12 project, you know, it hit different for me, you know, because she always has substance, and she's always giving you her backstory, and she did a lot of that on this album. So shout out to Che Noir, one of the best rappers in the game, male or female. She's up there with the men. She's killing a lot of dudes. But shout out to Che Noir, After 12, number 8 album of the year. Number 7, we got my guy Westside Gunn, upstate New York, Buffalo, with Pray for Paris. I think Westside put out 3 projects this year. Pray for Paris, I think Who Made the Sunshine, and I can't think of the other one. I think Fly God is an awesome God too, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, all 3 are great projects, but the Pray for Paris was particularly good to me. The production's always A1, and he kind of stepped in a different bag as far as production goes. And I'm always amazed at how well Westside puts albums together. He's a hell of an A&R. If I'm not mistaken, I think Conway and Benny say that he A&Rs their projects as well. So it's no surprise that he would have an outstanding year as far as music goes again, and put out this great album, Pray for Paris. At number 6, we got my guy Benny the Butcher with Burden of Proof, an album produced entirely by Hit Boy. I was worried about the album. I said, man, is he gonna go too commercial? But the album was put together perfectly. It was a very good album. It was an excellent album, great album. He was able to keep his same grit and grind, because it wasn't Benny I was worried about. I was worried about Hit Boy, because I wasn't sure if he can tap into that bag for Benny. I wasn't sure, but he definitely did, and he had an outstanding year as well. He made me look at him in a different light. Hit Boy, and he put together a beautiful album. He's definitely one of the top producers. I have to give him that. I can't even front on him. But Burden of Proof, and it was reminiscent of because of the title, Burden of Proof, Reasonable Doubt. So I could kind of see where he was going with it, and it was reminiscent of the way it was put together and the way it was crafted. It was reminiscent of A Reasonable Doubt. So it's definitely a great album. Burden of Proof, Benny the Butcher, keep banging. Number 6 album of the year. Number 5. This was one of my favorite albums of the year. He's like one of my favorite new young artists. Rod Wave, Pray for Love. And as you can see by my list, I don't have a lot of the younger guys on the list, a lot of the sing-songy guys on the list. It's pure rapping or like hard street music. But Rod Wave, he's a crooner, but he still has that street content in the way he put together. I just like how he make the music. The album is great. One of my favorite albums that came out. I listened to that album. I was going out of town. Every time I was going out of town, I was listening to that album. I think he did a re-release for it with maybe 10 more tracks on it. Like, he put out a bunch of music with that. He did videos. I think I particularly like that because he was doing videos, and he was still grinding with the album and pushing it, and pushing it, and trying to make it as big as possible. But he definitely is the top 5 album of the year for me. Rod Wave, Pray for Love. At number 4, we got my guy Nas with King's Disease. Nas, every album that he puts out, he has messages in it. It's always crafted from a lyrical standpoint. I rock with everything Nas is on. Every time he puts an album out, I'm rocking with it. King's Disease, and he broke down the meaning of King's Disease, and you listen to the content of the project, he put it all together perfectly. This entire album was produced once again by Hit Boy, and when I looked at the 2 projects that Hit Boy produced entirely, I had to step back and say, yo, this dude is a real producer. Like, to put together these 2 albums and these 2 projects like that, this dude is talented, man. Hit Boy did his thing this year with these 2 projects, 2 of my top 10 projects, and Nas is my favorite rapper. So I want to make sure I point that out. This list is as unbiased as I could get with it. This is a very unbiased list because Nas usually, any year with whoever comes out, Nas put an album out, I might probably like that better than everybody. So I had to be as unbiased as possible, and look at the music and rate it all from a standpoint of as a critic. So Nas still made number 4. So King's Disease, great album by Nas in his 30th year. 30 years in, 27 summers since his first album. Like, and to still be, nobody's done it this long, and still put out a project this long after they put out their first project. Nobody has done that. Nobody rapped for 30 years and still rap this well. No matter what people want to say about it, some people don't like it, some people do. A lot of people like it. But 30 years in the game and still rapping this well, you gotta respect it. So number 4, my guy Nas, King's Disease. Shout out to Nas, salute to him, and thanks for giving us another album. 30 years in the game, you could just say, hey, I'm out of it, but you still want to bang out with the music, especially in a year like we had. And sometimes we gotta appreciate the artist that's been around this long and putting out music still when they really don't have to. So you have to appreciate Jay-Z when he's putting out albums and doing music like he did the entire album with Jay Electronica early in the year. He don't have to rap, but he still has something to say that he wants to say to the people and to the younger artists, the new information that he has, and they want to spread the information. So you gotta respect it and appreciate it. So number 4, Nas, King's Disease, keep banging. Number 3, and I saw a lot of lists. They had this album at number 1, but I like it. It could have been number 1. Any of my top 6 could have been number 1 for me. Any of my top 6 or top 7 or top 8, top 9, any of my top 9 albums could have been number 1 on my list. So that's why I said it's very difficult for me to try to break these down into what was better than what. But I still did it. But number 3, Freddie Gibbs, Alfredo, and I think it was nominated for a Grammy. And I think Nas's King Disease was nominated for a Grammy also. So this is one of those years we getting like real hip hop being nominated for Grammys. And man, you gotta respect it. I think Royce the 5'9" Allegory was nominated for a Grammy. So this is one of those years. It's a game-changing years. Even though I don't care about the Grammys, but it seems like they're paying attention to the energy that's outside and where the people are and where the hip-hop movement is moving and shifting to. But Freddie Gibbs, Alfredo, the album produced entirely by Alchemist. Alchemist, I was leaning toward Hit Boy being producer of the year. I was saying he was hands down producer of the year. But when I got to looking at the things the Alchemist produced this year, and I had to step back like, whoa, wait a minute. Maybe I'm jumping the gun, because Alchemist did Alfredo for Freddie Gibbs, Price of Tea in China for Boldy, Lulu for Conway. I feel like he did some more. I feel like he did 2 more projects entirely for some people, and he's done his production, here and there on different albums. And I'm more of an underground guy, and that's what Alchemist normally sticks to, is underground, lyrical, street rap guys, and that's the type of stuff I like to listen to. So I'm gonna have to go back and listen to all these tracks and see everything that Hit Boy did, everything that Alchemist did for the year, to decide who's my producer of the year. But Freddie Gibbs, Alfredo, the album, Freddie, when he hooks up with one producer and they do the entire album, Freddie, he doesn't miss. And to be honest, Freddie hadn't missed really. I don't think he's missed at all in the last 10 years, maybe 11 years. I don't think he's put out a bad album. One thing, if I had to criticize, Freddie, his flow, he doesn't change flows as much. But he's still A1. He still does his thing. He still puts out great projects. puts out classic albums. If I had to go through his catalog, Freddie may have 3 or 4 classic albums. Now that I'm thinking about it, he may have 3 or 4 classic albums. Freddie Gibbs is one of the best guys we've had in the last 10 years, to be honest. If we had to go and look at each catalog, all the guys that came out within the last 10 years, Freddie will be top 5. So, number 3, Freddie Gibbs with the Alfredo. Great album. Now we're getting down to the nitty gritty. This is where it gets kind of tough. It got real tough. And I know I'm probably one of the only people that are gonna have these 2 albums in the top 2 spots. And it was hard for me to decide which one of these albums would be number 1. But hey, I took on a tough task and got right to it. So at number 2, I got Sa-Roc. Sa-Roc the MC. It's a female rapper. She's a conscious rapper. She's a top 5 lyricist right now. But I got Sa-Roc with Sharecropper's Daughter. Sharecropper's Daughter. When I heard that album and I was listening to it, I think I was riding around. It was one night I was riding around just to see what it was looking like outside. And I said, man, I had to keep rewinding every song. I had to keep going back to the beginning of it to hear it again, because she was going crazy. She was going crazy in her production. It's A1. I can't remember her producer's name, but he crafted the project perfect. And it's filled with so much. It's filled with so much substance, and she has so many gems, and she's dropping so much information that you gotta go back and listen. You gotta keep going back and listening, and I heard that album. I said, yo, it's gonna be tough for me to say another album is better than this one that came out this year. With the way she put the album together, I was anticipating the album, and the way she put that album together was like, wow, And she hadn't put an album out in maybe 4 or 5 years. But when you put together bodies of work like this, you can understand why she hadn't put anything out in so long. The album is called Sharecropper's Daughter, Sa-Roc, S-A-ROC. Go listen to it it's on all streaming platforms. Go listen to that album. You gotta listen maybe 3 or 4 times so you can catch everything. Pause. So you can see everything she's saying. Go listen to that album. Sharecropper's Daughter is a masterpiece. I gotta say, it's a masterpiece. But that's my number 2 album, Sa-Roc. Shout out to Sa-Roc. Hopefully I know putting together things like that, it takes a toll on the mind, and you may not be, in a hurry to come back, but hopefully she'll come back with something again soon, maybe the end of 2021. That's a great album, but that's number 2. And this was tough, and some people, I may be cheating a little bit with this one. I may be cheating. But the number 1 album for the year, I would have to pick, is my guy Ransom. And what I picked was the director's cut series, the entire series, because they were all EPs, but you put them together, it makes about a 20-song album. And he had the deleted scenes that he put out, so that would make it 25. Or he put out the crime scenes in December. Even if I chose that would be number 1. But I decided to go with the director's cut series. I could not stop listening to that. The first one he put out, it was 4 tracks. The rapping he was doing, the production, A1. I could not stop listening to director's cut. The entire series, I could not stop listening to it. He's doing some of the best rapping that we've heard in the last 10 years. I've always been a Ransom fan since about 05. I've been listening to Ransom, telling my guys down here about Ransom. You know, niggas look at me like I'm crazy. You know what I'm saying? Down south, niggas ain't really fucking with like underground New York niggas too much. Like it's a small few of us. But Ransom always been one of my guys. I'm glad to see him have a resurgence. It was a time back in the mid 2000s to the late 2000s where Ransom had a cult following to where people were saying he was the best rapper alive. And he's 10 times better than he was then. Now that's what's the most amazing thing about Ransom to me, is how he got so much better than he was. And he was already great, but he's 10 times better now than he was back then. That's amazing to me. But Director's Cut, the series, you gotta check it out. It's 3 EPs. Director's Cut 1, 2, 3. Deleted scenes. And then he just put a project out December 18th, if I'm not mistaken, called Crime Scenes. So he definitely put out the best music of the year. The Director's Cut series, even if I had to pick just one of them, Director's Cut 1 is the best project that came out all year. It's only 4 songs, and I don't care what nobody says. It's still the best project that came out all year. But I picked the entire series, which either one of them, 1, 2, or 3, all 3 of them are number 1 projects that came out this year. Director's Cut series, Ransom, number 1 album of 2020. Thanks for taking the time out and checking out this presentation of the best albums to come out this year. Real Ones Know, Georgia Road Mo, OPM, the original Pretty Mo, and I'm out. Gone.
The Magic City lights, the Magic City nights, think it's sweet. Find out what Magic City like.